good morning once again. Welcome back from that break. You're still writing Science Breakfast with me, Alan Habert. Sign language interpreter this morning is Maureen Juguna. Now, joining us in studio is Atela Joseph. He is the CEO CDPOK, the Consortium of Disabled Organizations of Kenya. We are doing two things. One, we're going to be looking at some of the stories that are making headlines in the dailies. Once we do that, or once we're done with that, then we're going to extrapolate this whole conversation and get to understand, are persons with disabilities participating in political processes? And they have been doing voter education. And yesterday we were here with the IEBC commissioner, and he also shared his part of the story. Are those particular stories in sync? This is what we are talking about in the next 45 or so minutes. Mr. Joseph, sidhani kama wewe ni mgeni huku, lakini salimia watu.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Good morning, our viewers.
Yes.
Yeah, as our host Albert has said, my name is Joseph Atela, the CDPO, the Executive Director of CDPOK,
Yes.
which is the Consortium of Disabled Persons Organizations in Kenya. I'm patriotic.
Yes.
And I love my country, Kenya. Thank you.
You're patriotic. Okay. You really had to remind us on national television, but either way, here we have something that we do because we also have our visually impaired viewers. We like to give them a visual description of who is speaking. Could you give a visual description of yourself? Visual description in terms of, yes, you dressed in a sharp suit, but what color is it and all that stuff?
Okay.
Yes.
I think I'm chocolate in color.
Yes.
I'm wearing a gray suit.
Yes.
And I'm also a person who really likes advocating on disability inclusion issues.
Yes.
And I think to our VI viewers, we've met a number of champions in that sector.
Yeah.
Yeah, and today I think the majority are conversant with my voice. Yes.
Okay. Famous man indeed. Now, let us go direct into these newspaper reviews, and I'm starting it off with the Daily Nation. And the Daily Nation this morning, the path to power, Raila's big headache. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, a flag bearer, has won the endorsement of President Kenyatta in his fifth stab at the presidency, but he has a lot of work to do in overcoming the challenges mounted by Deputy President William Ruto. Mr. Odinga's biggest hurdle is the choice of a running mate. He must satisfy Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and accommodate the interests of more than 20 parties that are firmly behind his campaign. Question is, will he succeed? What do you think?
Yes, he will. You know, growing up, we found Raila in the game.
Yes.
And I don't want to be partisan. My position doesn't allow me to be partisan.
Yes.
But I'll just speak the truth. So with the experience and being in the game for so long,
yes,
and also with the support from the current president and a number of institutions,
yes,
you know, he's in a position, and he's also someone who has got networks. So he'll just, what I know with him,
yes,
he'll just be in a position to manage their expectations. Maybe this is politics, yes,
yeah,
and I know maybe someone will be promised something that he won't deliver, but at the end of the day, he'll ensure that he manages the person's expectation.
Yeah.
Yes.
In this situation, who do you think that he would be able to settle for the vice president? Because there is the calculation of the right honorable, the former vice president Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yes.
There is the expectations of the mountain. There is Martha Karua in the picture. Who do you think might go away with this one?
Alan, I don't want to speculate so much, but
speculation is not a good game.
Oh, no. With my analysis, I think he'll just choose wisely. Yeah, and I think he'll have the best running mate.
Yes.
Yeah, and in my view, I think the running mate might come from the mountain. Yes.
Okay, that says a lot. Now, that has been a first and foremost. Do you have fuel in your car?
Oh yes, I have
Question.
I have a little fuel.
Question. Now,
Yes.
fuel crisis, hope at last. Relief for now as President Kenyatta approves a payment of oil marketers a shilling 13 billion fuel subsidy arrears, but tough times loom for many Kenyans. Subsidy. This has been done since 2020. Is this the only solution that we can have to curb the constant rise of fuel in the country? What's your take?
I think really our president really has to be serious on this. And in my view, this is a governance issue. It's something that should really be addressed once and for all.
Yeah.
We don't need to be speaking about such kind of things. And we know that our economy really rely on fuel.
Yes.
And even the common citizens, the so-called Wanjiku,
Yeah.
they really rely on this fuel. So whenever it is affected, it's not people that drive the big cars or the middle class cars that get affected. It affects everyone. So it's a governance issue, and it should really be handled with the agency that it deserves. Yes.
Yesterday, the deputy president went ahead and said that, government is to blame.
Yes.
But where exactly? Yes, there is that fear that the government was not able to release the subsidy, the money to the marketeers on time. But don't you believe it's also, and I like the line where you started that you are patriotic. Don't you believe it's also an issue of less patriotism? Because even if you are a marketeer, and I was watching the PS for Energy, Mr. Kamau yesterday on one of the stations, and he said they have owed more money to these marketers, more than what they are owed right now. But this did not happen. Do you believe, are there any underworkings, like the deputy president said yesterday, sabotage, selfish government officials here and there? What exactly do we make of this?
I think, as we all know, this is a political season, and as he said yesterday, I also watched the program.
Yes.
And I was like, if they have had bigger, deaths than this one, then what has gone wrong?
Yeah.
I think there was a miscommunication somewhere, and they relaxed.
Yeah.
There was some reluctancy at some point, and maybe if they could have worked on it earlier, it could have not escalated to this crisis that we are seeing today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, away from the fuel issue now to the Taifa Leo this morning. Ujanja wa Ruto kuruka Mudavadi. Naibu Rais William Ruto aonekana akukwepa masharti magumu ya kuundwa kwa vyama vya miungano chini ya sheria mpya ya vyama vya kisiasa, hatua inayoweza kuwacha pabaya washirika wake. Ukurasa wenu utapata hii habari kwa ukamilifu. It is a dilemma in the Azimio camp, but it is as well, it is a dilemma in the United Democratic Alliance camp. What cards is the deputy president playing?
Herbert, a good politician would ensure that he gathers the right followers,
Yes.
and the right soldiers. But again, he or she has to ensure that he manages the team, So I think if at all they are not understanding each other in the team,
Yes.
I think the best thing to do is to have a round table and ensure that they talk,
Yes.
and they ensure that the shares, the national cakes as they call it, they discuss it in advance,
Yeah.
So it's a dilemma. They are in a dilemma, yes.
Yes.
And I can't underrate the DP. He's also an experienced politician,
Yes.
and he's a student of Nyayo.
Yes.
The second president of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Moi, and he's also a good student of his current competitor,
Yeah.
Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. So he's not somebody that we can underrate.
Yes.
He's also smart he's also a smart guy.
Yeah.
And maybe, or maybe not, he'll play his cards well. Yes.
But the big question here is, are the likes of ANC, the likes of Ford Kenya, and all the parties that would want to coalesce around the United Democratic Alliance, are they in bad times indeed? And the biggest question is, might Musalia Mudavadi be thrown under the bus by the Deputy President? As also Kalonzo Musyoka alluded the other day, that msishangai, and I will quote this one, msishangai kama Wetangula amerudi mahali niko. Yeah? What do you make of this?
I know. What happened, in my view, is that they made, they joined the DP side, both ANC and the Ford Kenya, without good understanding of whatever they would work on how to share the national cake.
Yes.
So, and also, Musalia Mudavadi has got pressure from his followers.
Yes.
You know, coming from the Western region and having good followers. Right Honorable Raila Odinga from the region.
Yes.
And also majority. The Right Honorable followers might see Honorable Mudavadi's move as, what would I say? It's a bit, it's malicious, you know. He's not supporting Raila Odinga.
Yes.
So they'll be like, this guy is against our person. And you know, as things are right now, the expectations are so high on Raila being the president.
Yes.
And the Western region really wants to have a cake, you know. And that's why when we go as far as mentioning Kotu Secretary General,
yes,
you know, he has been like the spokesperson of the region currently, and he's convincing the Western people,
yes,
persons from Western region, that the person to follow is Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and he's trying to convince the Mulembe nation
yes,
that whoever doesn't follow Right Honorable Raila is an enemy. Is an enemy of the Western region.
Yes.
So the cards are really hot for both Mudavadi and the Ford Kenya leader,
yes,
Moses Wetangula.
Yeah.
But I hope it's still early. And with their experience too,
yes,
I think they'll make right decisions before it's too late. Yes.
I see experience is the only thing that is playing out here.
Yes, yes. They must, experience is the key thing here. Yes.
Okay, I also see the Standard this morning with a headline, how shillings 34 billion dispute pushed Kenyans into fuel shortage. Even as the president yesterday signed bill authorizing Treasury to pay all companies to end consumer agony. Those are some of the stories in your dailies. Go ahead and grab yourself a copy and get to read more on more stories that are in the dailies this morning. Now we're going to take a quick one. When we come back, we're coming back with that conversation around participation of persons with disabilities in political parties. Keep it science, and we'll be back after the break. Okay, I'm back from that break. You are still watching Science Breakfast with me, Alan Hubbard. Sign language interpreter is Maureen Njuguna. In studio, joining me this morning is Joseph Atela. He is the Executive Director of CDPUK, and CDPUK is a consortium of organizations or consortium
Of disabled
persons
organizations
in Kenya. CDPUK.
Which is an umbrella organization, by the way.
Yes.
Yes, with more than 142 members.
Hiyo yote ni kura.
Hiyo ni kura. And these members
Yes.
are organizations for persons with disabilities. They are not individuals.
They are not all persons with disabilities themselves.
They are organizations for persons with disabilities. And you find that an organization, one organization might have even 50 members.
Yes.
And you brought these organizations together. And they are over 140.
Yes. These organizations, Mr. Atela, we are not hearing them in political processes. We are not hearing voices of persons with disabilities in the ongoing politics. Where are we? You as the consortium, where do you put persons with disabilities?
Wow. Alan, as we are trying our best, and as we speak, we have a program,
Yes.
inclusive elections program, running across the country
Yes.
to ensure that persons with disabilities are included in the electoral processes.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been engaging key stakeholders
Yes.
in the electoral process, and we've been as well engaging persons with disabilities.
Yes.
We are trying to enlighten our members to ensure that they actively participate in the process. We are engaging disability leagues, the political parties' disability leagues.
Yes.
We are engaging the leaders of the leagues. We are engaging, the party leaders at the levels of the executive directors and
Yes.
the secretary generals. And at some point, even the party leaders themselves.
Yes.
So what we are trying to avoid is the chaos or the, misrepresentation that we got in 2017. Yeah, it really hit us so hard.
Yeah.
And we tried to get our rights back, but unfortunately we couldn't manage.
Yeah.
So we are trying. We've really come together as a consortium to ensure that we don't experience this again.
Yes.
Yes.
When we talk about political processes, what processes are in there? Was are there any processes? Can you make them aware? Can you make our viewer aware of exactly what are these political processes?
Election is a process, and it's a continuous process.
Yes.
What I would say is that it's not. We shouldn't wait for the 9th of August. We need to ensure that we mobilize persons with disabilities to register as voters.
Yes.
We need to ensure that for those who had registered, they need to confirm that are they still voters of specific stations that they registered.
Yes.
And also, we also need to ensure that voter education,
Yes.
is taking place. And also, we are working or coordinating with the IBC.
Yes.
In fact, in the programs that we are running, we are working together with the IBC, and we've worked with officers from the county level.
Yes.
And they have been themselves they have been training persons with disabilities
Yes.
on their rights
Mm.
when it comes to election issues, and they have been demonstrating, and they have been encouraging them as well.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, not only after we register, after we confirm that we are still voters of these stations, we also need to ensure that we participate. We are encouraging persons with disabilities, be it a person with physical disability, visual impairment, deaf, persons with albinism,
Yes.
persons with slight mental challenge. We encourage them to go for elective positions. We cannot all fit nomination positions.
Yes.
So we encourage everyone, if one has an interest, to go for a governor. I've not had a person with ability contesting for a gubernatorial position.
Mr. Taylor, you're lying. There is the Tim Wanyuni, MP Westland.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
He's a close friend of mine.
Yes.
No, I'm really sorry. I was still thinking back in my mind
Yes.
that he's still defending his
Westland's
Westland
seat.
seat.
He is going all in for the governorship, for the gubernatorial seat.
Sure.
Yes.
Now I think we are set, and we are doing something that is good.
Yes.
Because we have a presidential candidate who is a PWD,
Yes.
visually impaired person. We have Honorable Tim Wanyoni.
Yes.
And how did I forget?
And I believe
close friend of
he
mine.
will hold you in contempt for this one.
No, such things do happen.
Yes.
But I think we've really, in fact, I'm one of the friends that really encouraged him to go for the position.
Yes.
And we are really ensuring that we give them the support that we can. It's a big position that
Yes.
is now going for. and it's a position that really needs resources and even prayers.
Yes.
You know, and we also need to convince electorates
Yes.
that we can deliver. Yeah, so we are really trying to support our candidates.
In the disability space sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, participation sometimes is skewed in between being an aspirant and participating in the processes, like going to register to be a voter, even showing up at the polling stations for the day of the voting. Could you kindly explain to the viewer who is watching at home, what is the difference between, because many persons with disabilities would want to come out as aspirants.
Yeah.
Is it only that the opportunities that are available are those of aspirants, or to what extent can persons with disabilities participate in political processes? Because I believe there are also leadership positions at political parties, but why so be vested in aspiring to be nominated or to be elected for a particular seat?
Well, thank you for the question, Alan. I would first start by telling you that political parties do have honors. And I mean, the key positions that we know we can hold
Yes.
is being a person with ability, being represented in the NEC, maybe the NEC, you know,
Yes.
National Election, Committee, National Executive Committee,
Yes.
and National Election Board, you know. So apart from those positions, I know there are some secretarial positions as well.
Yes.
And we also encourage the political parties and PWDs to go for such positions. But we need to have positions that can help us demand for our share.
Yes.
You know. So this is the reason as to why we encourage persons with abilities to go and contest. The reason of, the thought of being nominated, the mathematics is really, won't really work as people expect.
Yes.
With the collisions that we see around, you know, things will not be so good.
Yes.
To specific, there are persons with abilities who've worked for political parties for so long, and you never know. For example, if I would say about a person with ability from example of NAC Kenya,
Yes.
like a league leader, persons with abilities league leader of NAC Kenya. NAC Kenya has merged or has joined the Azimio.
Yes.
And the Azimio has WIPA, has the likes of, is it UDF, the likes of, you know,
Yes.
so many around over 20 political parties. So when they'll be coming to select representatives or
Yes.
nominating the representatives of PWDs, there will be a challenge there. And normally we see that those who have godfathers
Yes.
are the ones that normally land into those positions, despite the fact that they might not be having any clue about disability inclusion. So that's why we don't want to put our eggs in one basket to expect only nominations.
Yes.
That's why we are sending our constituents to go and ensure that they also hunt.
Yes.
So that if we don't get a deal in the nominations, we have a deal at election level. So we can still go and have a conversation with the elected ones on what's the way forward.
Yes.
Yes.
But then, Mr. Atela, a question would arise. What probability do you have that the ones who will go for elective seats, they will be able to clinch those particular seats? You know, politics is skewed out here. How people do their campaigns, it's a little bit murky. It's a little bit, it's like rolling in the dirt, rolling in the deep. Which probability or how certain are you that even going for elective positions, persons with disabilities will be able to get will be able to gain these seats?
But I'm really a strong believer.
Yes.
That things can happen. You know. And my hashtag normally is that it can be done.
Yes.
You know. So if I know not so friendly to us, you know, to persons with different kinds of disabilities, and we are still at the periphery of the development processes. Like when a political party holds a rally, it's hard to see these political party leaders giving a person with ability opportunity even to greet the crowd.
Yes.
You know. So as we are trying to enlighten our people to devise ways, you can use your your disability
yes.
as your strength. You can go do door-to-door campaigns.
Yes.
You know, you can approach these people. You can have a strategy. You use the women group, the youth group, you know,
yes.
of the area that you are looking for elective position. So we just have to have strategies. It's not a must that you appear on those big political rallies. But again, you must ensure, one should ensure
yes.
that they have a good relationship with the political party leaders. And they ensure that they are seen, as persons who are, developing the party.
Yes.
They must be conspicuous. They should be present whenever decisions are made.
Yes.
Yeah, so these are the things that we are trying to ensure that our people do. Yeah.
There is something that you alluded to before we went to the whole probability and what persons with disabilities must be doing to make sure that they win these particular seats. You mentioned that political parties have their owners. That it's a sad state, but that's something that we have to
It's the
agree.
reality.
And then you mentioned that some people might end up to be nominated and they'll be nominated on the basis that they have godfathers.
Yes.
But even as they are nominated, it does not necessarily mean they have knowledge and interest of persons with disabilities at heart. How do we solve that problem? Even as names are being put out there for nomination, how do we make sure that people who are going to get nominated are genuine persons with disabilities and the most important thing is have the interest of persons with disabilities at heart?
Really, we are working with the political parties. And I think I'll not be doing good if I don't mention the Westminster Foundation for Democracy,
yes.
WFD, that we've partnered with for more than almost 2 years now.
Yes.
And we've managed to bring the political parties, the ones that make decisions, the political parties that are conspicuous.
Yes.
You know, so we've had discussions, and today, if I might tell you, today persons with disabilities don't see leaders of political parties as enemies. We've had conversations, and they are getting spaces. The political parties have ensured that they have disability leads, and they are making friendly policies.
Yes.
And I know some that have even entered, good policies into their constitutions, their political party constitutions. And this means that they are having, persons with abilities at heart, and they want to ensure that they practice inclusion and also want to embrace disability inclusion. Yes. And this is the way to go, by the way.
Yes.
If you can't beat them, join them. We made a noise for so
You
long.
plan for them to be beaten.
You know? Not really.
Yes.
If we can't, we've been making noise after they have done their, previously after political parties had done some dirty moves, So we came and we came together and asked ourselves, like, what can we do? The best thing to do is to bring them on the table.
Yes.
And have a candid conversation with them. And that's what we are doing. And by the way, they are good people.
Yes.
When you bring them close and you just tell them, like, now, let's participate on how we can work on this. And they are really, really, really buying our ideas. And they are also giving us ideas that are really helpful. And they ensure they are also, confirming to us by the deeds or actions that they are, that are taking place in their political parties,
Yes.
that they are after inclusion, inclusion.
okay, political parties. Sometimes people will say, no, political parties are places never to be trusted. But Joseph Atela here, the Executive Director, CDPOK, telling us otherwise. I want us to take a quick break, but when we come back, voter education. How is CDPOK going about this one? And are persons with disabilities really, have they registered to be voters? And even as we do the voter education, how are the numbers turning out? As well, what next? Political party primaries are happening right now. Are persons with disabilities being nominated even after the nominations fees? From some political parties waiving these particular fees, are persons with disabilities participating in these particular primaries? Mr. Joseph Atela is here to answer us those particular questions. Not particular really, but pertinent questions. Because if you miss out in the nominations,
You are done?
you're done.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, that's what we are talking about in depth. Keep it science. We'll be back after the break. And welcome back from that break. You're still watching Science Breakfast with me, Alan Harvard. Sign language interpreter is Maureen Njuguna. In studio with me this morning is Joseph Atela. We are speaking about participation of persons with disabilities in political party processes. Not necessarily political parties, but political processes. As Mr. Atela mentioned, political processes entail a lot of things. One being members of political parties, going to get registered as voters, participating in activities of politics and political parties. So it's a raft of activities. And one of the political processes that is happening right now is political party primaries. Mr. Atela,
Yes.
where are persons with disabilities in this ongoing political party primaries?
How about I can tell you that persons with disabilities are aggressive enough
Yes.
this time around, and I know many that are in the process as some will do as voters,
Yes.
and a number will do as contestants. Yes.
And the political, the party primaries or the primaries themselves are in their own mini elections. And if you bow out of the nominations, then you are not going to see the ballot come August 9th. What assurance, or through the work that you're doing, how content are you? Give us a percentage. How many persons with disabilities do you think would make it through the party primary?
How about that? I'm not so good at speculating. But I want to assure
But these are people you're working around.
Yes.
So you as
Yes.
114 organizations,
Yes.
you must have data on some of these particular people who you know. Huyu naye hii kitu alichukua jana na mapema.
we do,
Yes.
but we won't rely so much on party primaries because we know what normally happens.
Yes.
And as we speak, we are informed, we are aware
Yes.
that there are political parties that have given some contestants direct certificates, you know. So we have other options.
Yes.
I started earlier by saying that we don't put our eggs in one basket. We have options of going as independent candidates, you know. So if our constituents or the people we represent
Yes.
don't get opportunities, because we know some
Yes.
who won and they were not given the certificate, and they went looking for the positions as independent candidates,
Yes.
and they won. So what we are encouraging PWDs that are in the process to do
Yes.
is to ensure that they are in touch with their electorates, and they should ensure that whatever they promise, they deliver. And for the few who have gotten into these positions, they have really delivered, and this really good example. They have
Yes.
really shown a good example, and they have made citizens or
Yes.
voters have faith in persons with disabilities. You know, I can start by mentioning our brother Tim.
Yes.
You know, he has been the Westlands MP for 2 terms,
Yes.
and truly speaking, he has delivered, and everybody likes his work.
Yes.
We have another member of county assembly.
Yes.
Our friend, we happened to work with him before he joined politics. It's called Martin Pepela.
Yes.
You know, Pepela was a nominated MCA, and he went for the seat.
Yes.
He lost in political parties primaries, but he won, but wasn't given certificate.
Yes.
So he found ways of getting into the position. And for information, he was elected.
Yes.
And right now, as we speak, he's vying for a member of parliamentary position.
Yes.
And we are really, really hopeful that he's going to make it. Yes.
That point you bring in, where that, and this makes this you sound so sure that keep it in lugha ya mtaa kinaibwa pale, even once party primaries are done. What security, what assurance, what are persons with disabilities supposed to do? And you as CDP, okay, what do you think would be your mandate in making sure that political party primaries are free and fair for participants with disabilities?
I mean, one of the calls that we've been making is for the process to be peaceful and disability friendly. You know.
Yes.
And we are in agreement with the political party leaders, and we are in conversation with the IBC, and possibly we are getting into agreement.
Yes.
And with the NCIC, you know, we are partnering with ORPP.
Yes.
And the other day, we had a meeting, a roundtable conversation.
Yes.
With the leader of ORPP, Madam Anne Rito.
Yes.
You know, like a week ago. So we are ensuring that the environment is friendly to persons with disabilities. However much we know that youth are the majority when it comes to population in Kenya.
Yes.
And youths are unemployed. And it's so sad that politicians misuse this youth to cause chaos for their selfish interests. So we are also ensuring that we are working with youth organizations to ensure that they advocate for peace and advocates embracing persons special category.
Yes.
When it comes to the election process. So it's not only PWDs
Yes.
who get shortchanged by the goons coming and disrupting. People vote when it comes to primaries level.
Yeah.
People do vote, and the problem do come when it comes to counting. So before counting starts, goons do come from nowhere. They kick the ballot boxes and disappear with them and bring other new ones that are marked. So these are things that we are really working on how to avoid. And we are reaching out to everyone.
Yeah.
We are reaching out to the youth groups, and even ensuring, informing them that even women who are contesting, they are also, as weak as persons with disabilities, and they should also be given that ample opportunity and conducive environment to ensure that they participate fully in the process.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds assuring there indeed. And to IEBC, yesterday we had a conversation here with the commissioner, Mr. Francis Wanderi, and he was talking to us about there is already a memorandum of understanding between organizations of persons with disabilities and IEBC. What is that memorandum of understanding about?
But sometimes in October,
yes,
or November,
yes,
we gathered somewhere as leaders of organizations.
If I don't forget, it was at the school of the Kenya School of is it Kenya School of Government? Some I might be wrong.
No, it was at Kasarani Sports Street, where we did a press conference.
Ah, yes.
And we gave ultimatums, and it was on a weekend.
Yes.
And by Monday, Tuesday, the IBC called.
Was reaching out.
Yes. And they were like, you guys, we are not your enemies.
Mwache kupiga kelele kwa media.
Wacheni kupiga kelele. You need to come on board.
Yes.
We need to have this conversation. We can ensure that things are done the way you want.
Yeah.
So after that, a presser,
Yes.
we got invitation. And first meeting, we met IBC at somewhere Parliament Buildings.
Yes.
And again, another one was done at, it's called KICD.
Yes, actually, that's the one that I remember.
Yes, at KICD.
Yeah.
And promises were made.
Yes.
And we came into agreements. And one of the fruits that we now have from the conversation, from
Yeah.
the two conversations, is that the IBC, in partnership with organizations for persons with disabilities, formed a committee.
Yes.
It's called IBC, Disability Inclusive Elections Committee.
Yes.
You know, that is headed by one of the seniors
Yes.
in the disability movement. You know, it's headed, the chair is Mr. Kabwe.
Yes.
Dr. Kabwe. And Kabwe is an experienced person.
Yeah.
And we know that his leadership, we can really count on, rely on it.
Yes.
And we are really working together and I mean, disseminating information
Yes.
to even organizations that are in the deeper parts of the village. You know.
Yeah.
So it's I can assure you that with the IVC, we've even done applications, a number of applications. I mean, organizations for persons with disabilities have sent to be considered to be election observers, and we are following up. Also to be voter educators.
Yes.
You know, and this is something that last time it wasn't done the way it's done this time. So I think whatever we are doing,
Yeah.
we are earning some steps. I mean, some marks.
Yes.
We are making some good progress towards the right direction. Yes.
Before you go into voter education and the voter being given opportunities to be as observers in the coming elections, the committee exactly, are you privy of what are some of its mandates, and if you're privy to them, which are some of these mandates?
Basically, the mandate of the committee
Yes.
is to ensure that PWDs, or organizations of persons with disabilities,
Yes.
have a one voice and have a representation in the within the IEBC.
Yes.
You know, initially, you'll find that deaf persons who are deaf,
Yes.
they would go on their own, demanding to be understood. I mean, to be
Listen to.
listened to
Yes.
by the IBC leadership. Persons with physical impairment they
Yes.
also carry themselves and go and ask for the same. The visually impaired. So instead of every now and I mean everyone ranging,
Yes.
this committee has brought all these disabilities together. We discuss one thing and we put into a document and we ensure that it reaches the commission.
Yes.
Yes.
And
by the way,
Yes.
one of the top, board members of the consortium, CDPOK,
Yes.
is part of the committee. Yes.
and
And we are really proud of that.
yes, and this is not to empty the dirty linen of some of the things that are happening in the disability line out into media, but we must be true to ourselves sometimes. You mentioned something about different disabilities or different categories of disabilities speaking independently on their own, forgetting that this whole thing is supposed to be like a whole cake, that we are supposed to we present ourselves as a cake so that we evenly get distributed instead of going as pieces of cakes. I wouldn't want to call it mistrust, but this conflicting information that sometimes parades itself in the disability sector, doesn't it put the work of the committee, or doesn't it put the gains that some of the organizations work hard for at jeopardy? And doesn't this communicate to, one, political parties, two, IEBC and other stakeholders that probably this is a group that is confused, it does not know what exactly it wants? How do we come out differently this particular year?
But for the longest time, we've been losing because of that habit.
Yes.
And that's the reason as to why we said, now this time round, however much, disability community is just like any other community.
Yes.
Personal
interest left, right, and
personal
center.
interests are there. There are those who want for themselves. So we just ensure that we came together and said, look, we have differences as well.
Yes.
You know, not everybody would like Atela. And Atela would also...
Not like Herbert.
Not like Herbert, for
Yes.
example. You know, but for the sake of persons with disabilities across the country, for the
Can
sake
we
of
come
over
together?
6.5 million, and
Yes.
I will still stress on that number. You know, I mean, that's our population. We
Yes.
are over 6.5 million. You know, and for the sake of that number,
Yes.
we came together. We are, doing everything together and working with the IBC.
Yes.
That, which is currently the key stakeholder
Yeah.
in this process. You know, so we've buried our
The hatchet
differences.
and the differences.
Yes, for the sake of common person with disability. You know, so we just have to do this. Yes.
Indeed, this has to be done. Now, to voter education, what is CDPOK doing to make sure that persons with disabilities have the voter education that they need to participate in the forthcoming elections?
Really, we are participating in the process with Action Network for the Disabled.
Yes.
And we have NONO and CDPOK.
Yes.
We are partnering on this, and we are doing even online programs. We go live. We invite persons with disabilities.
Yes.
And they participate. Like we educate them, and we are yet to get official, certification.
Yes.
From the IBC. But again, we are still working with them.
Yes.
You know, so we are coordinating this activity with the help of the IBC.
Yes.
And with the help of these other two organizations that we are partnering with, and even with the help of the likes of WFB.
Yes.
And we are ensuring that whatever we do is to ensure that things like voter apathy.
Yes.
You know, persons with disabilities would say that mimi hata nikienda kuvote
kura yangu inamaanisha nini? Itanisaidia
that
nini?
one vote. We ensure them. We ensure that we tell them about the importance of that one vote. It might make a bad pass or fail.
Yes.
You know, so it counts. And before you make it count, it doesn't need to be bought.
Yeah.
Someone shouldn't come with the 50 shillings, 100 shillings, or 1,000 to buy your vote.
Yes.
You have to ensure that I'm voting Abbott. Voting for Abbott because I have his ideologies.
Yes.
I love his ideologies. I see him as a performer, and I'll go back again and knock his door,
Yes.
and he'll open for me the door when I'll need him after his campaigns.
Yes.
You know? So this is the most important thing that we are doing. So we are doing it both physically. We are reaching out through print and even mainstream media houses.
Yes.
And also doing virtual meetings, conferences, in order to ensure that we reach out to everyone. And also through radios, you know, and community radios.
Yes.
We do community radio shows. And by doing this through the radios, we reach also a bigger number that really have not had a position, had a chance of having the TVs in their homes. Yes, so by all means, we are reaching out to everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Atela, I want to take this home, and I believe you get to engage with a lot of persons with disabilities who are in the run to get political spaces and to be elected in political offices. When they speak to you, what are their biggest fears? What do you pick from them? What are their genuine concerns?
Concerning...
No, this is general.
Yeah.
It might be accessibility. I might be visually impaired. I must say there is one of ours here who wants to be the Senator of Nairobi. He is visually impaired. We have also if I'm not wrong, Michael Ashura, who is running for the Nairobi senatorial seat. I believe you talk to these And there's so a lot of people who...
Their fear.
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
if I'll cut you short,
Mm.
they fear being shortchanged. Our people who are contesting,
Yes.
their biggest fear
Mm.
is being shortchanged.
Yes.
You know, and it's sad that the phrase that the persons that shortchange them use is that tutakupatia nominations position.
Mm.
So you don't need to contest.
Yeah.
You have a seat there. You'll be
It's
nominated.
waiting for you.
You know, it's waiting for you. You'll be nominated.
Yeah.
So and again, accessibility also a challenge.
Mm.
You know, and accessibility doesn't mean only accessing the podium,
Yeah.
physically challenged.
Mm.
It means the deaf. There are deaf who are contesting, by the way.
Mm.
Most of them are contesting for MCA positions.
Yes.
And you find that the political parties hold rallies, and the rallies don't have
Sign language
sign language
interpreters.
interpreters.
Mm.
You know, and they are, they can't access. That's inaccessibility.
Yeah.
So even the VI, you know, we know those who are contesting. We have a presidential candidate who is a
Yes, Mr. Kigame.
yes, and we have MCS
Mm.
who are contesting that. There will be a person with visual impairment.
Yeah.
So, and the grounds, the political grounds are not so friendly to them because they fear no one understands their disability or their needs when it comes to them participating in that process. You know, in politics, the truth is that you need to be seen. So one way of ensuring that you are seen is attend those forums, those rallies. And really, a person with visual impairment, you don't know when people will start running, you know.
You might be running and you're in the middle of,
Yes,
you're standing, you're wandering.
yes,
Yeah, but at that particular time, your guide has already also veered off.
yes. You're left alone because everyone is for himself and God is for us all. So
Yes.
if something happens that you are not hurt, you are not good. But really, it's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
And we really need an advocating for inclusion within all political parties and inclusion on all disabilities.
Yes.
Yes.
As we're winding up, Mr. Atela, one of other biggest fears that I've come across is funding.
Oh yes.
Politics is a capital-intensive activity.
True.
Through CDPOK, are you seeing any assistance that is going to be coming through to probably in the way hours of the political processes? Probably donors might say, wait, go through the nominations, and if you make it through the nominations, probably then we can talk. Or what do you think? What strategies do you have to share with persons with disabilities who are vying in political parties or to be elected members? What do you tell them? The gimmicks that they can use to avert this whole elephant of funding in politics.
But one of the good things that we've done
Yes.
is to ensure that political parties almost all waiver the contestants' fees.
Yes, but sorry to cut you short, but many would argue it's only 100,000. 100,000 or 50, actually it's not even 100,000, it's 50,000 for member of county assembly or county assemblies. But then you have 50,000, you have a county assembly, you have a ward that spans over a couple of distances. How are you going to be able to traverse that particular region for you to be able to be elected?
How about what does election process entail?
Yes.
And in fact, we have even regulation for the amounts or amount of money that
Yes.
one should use to campaign when it comes to an MCA.
Yes.
And really, what one needs, if someone wants a position of, for example, an MCA, and you have a waiver of 50,000
Yes.
or 25,000, what you need is something for posters.
Yes.
If at all, I know persons with abilities majority. We don't have, I mean, are not into employment,
Yes.
and we know that, and they are lacking resources. So what we are encouraging them to do, you can fundraise.
Yes.
You can have friends. You can share your vision with friends, and these friends, they don't really need to give you cash.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, we are Kenyans, and whatever we hardly do is giving somebody money. You know, so you can ask somebody, would you print for me, like 10 posters?
Yes.
You know, one can easily accept to print that. You know, we know you can ask someone, would you print for me cards that
Yes.
I can go and, I mean, give my electorates as I convince them. You don't need to go, I mean, extravagant when you don't have the resources. So we really believe, and we know an MP, a youthful MP,
Yes.
who was elected, he was campaigning door to door, just knocking doors and just promising that he would deliver. He beat multi-millionaires.
Yes.
And is currently a member of parliament. So a person with disability, if you manage to convince the electorates, in fact, I know sometimes back, one who was elected, and he didn't even have, I mean, posters.
Yes.
Somewhere in Turkana, you know, is currently serving as an MCA.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a matter of convincing the electorates, ensuring that you reach out to them, you be strategic, and you have a good team that helps you reach out to these people.
Yes.
But if you want to show the electorates that you have money, even if you had 100,000, you will use it for 2 days, and you set a precedent that you would not, I mean, sustain.
Yeah.
So the next, if within 1 month you've exhausted your 100,000 shillings, they'll keep on calling for more money, and you'll not be giving. And by the way, you know, I mean, contestants are not allowed to bribe voters.
Yes.
You know, so the best thing you can do is maybe to ensure that you can move from one place to the other, and ensuring that you have a candid conversation with your voters.
Yeah.
You convince them, and I know Kenyans.
Yeah.
But the Kenyans are very good people. If you convince me that you will deliver 1, 2, 3,
Yes.
and I ask you questions on how you will deliver, and you convince me where you will get the resources,
Yes.
Kenyans do support such persons, and not only once or twice.
Yes.
They have supported me, and not only persons with disabilities,
Yes.
even the able-bodied. Yes, the current MP for somewhere in Meru,
Yes.
Igembe,
Yes.
you know, he got elected. He was a university student.
Yes.
He was doing a door-to-door. He was walking across the, I mean...
But Mr. Attila, many would argue that's 1 in a million.
It is.
Yes.
Would one inquire from him whatever he did to get that? You know. And not only him.
Yes.
A number have gotten into the positions through just convincing the electorate. Ubayani, they normally go and disappoint.
Yeah.
But we encourage persons with disabilities that whenever you are given this opportunity, ensure that you deliver. Yes.
Interesting.
And by the way, we are also connecting the PWDs to, I mean, networking opportunities. You know, trainings on how one can, I mean, have skills of communication skills.
Yes.
Very important. You know, yeah, on how one can access to local media stations.
Yeah.
To, I mean, ensure that they sell their ideologies to the electorate.
Yeah.
You know, so us, to be honest, we are an organization that we don't have funds that we give contestants.
Yes.
Now we've given you 500,000, go and campaign.
Yeah.
No, we don't do that, but we equip the contestants with knowledge, skills, and networks on how they can clinch on those positions. And we also ensure that we make we make their relationship with the political parties and the leaders of political parties good, so that they can progress in their
endeavors.
endeavors.
Okay. In a minute, your last take.
I mean, we really advocate for inclusion, and we expect nothing less, and we'll keep pushing until the time that the stakeholders in this process will ensure that they embrace us. And by saying this, I'm sending a message,
yes,
that we are not going to sit back and see things getting messed up. We are going to come out as we've come out before. But this time we are going to come out stronger.
Yeah.
And we are really supporting persons with abilities who are contesting and those who are intending to vote. And we encourage all persons with abilities to register.
Yeah.
There is still registration
at the constituency level.
at the constituency level. For those who have not registered, they should go and register. They should go and participate as voters.
Yes.
Because even the cries we hear about economies, if you don't vote today, you should not even have a say about it. And also,
yes,
we urge persons with abilities to ensure that they work as a team. They, consult, and also they are the experienced,
yes,
that they have in the society. They really need to have some lessons from them. And above all, they should ensure that they pray, they put their vote first,
yes,
and ensure that they deliver to their electorates when they are elected into the positions or nominated.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Atela, for making time for speaking to us. And aspirants, mmesikia, mtoke huko nje and make it a point for you to woo electorates and voters to make sure that you sell your agendas and get to represent in the political parties or to represent in the different assemblies. But also something important that he has mentioned, not all of us or not all of you will be able to be elected as leaders, but you could also play your constitutional right of voting for the leader and for the ideologies that you stand for and those that you believe will take you and take the country Kenya to the next level. That marks the end of our first conversation. When we come back from this break, we're coming back with Cure International and the great work that they are doing around medicine and spirituality of persons with disability. Keep it science. We'll be back after the break.